Fort Sand is a former tuberculosis sanatorium and resort village in Saskatchewan, Canada. It is located near Fort Qu'Appelle, a town that was named after a legend of two Cree lovers who communicated through a spirit voice in the lake. Fort Sand was built in 1917 and operated until 1971, treating hundreds of patients who suffered from the deadly disease. Many of them died there, and some say their spirits still haunt the place. Fort Sand is considered one of the most haunted places in Canada, and many paranormal investigators and curious visitors have explored its abandoned structures. However, some of the buildings have been demolished or renovated over the years, and access to the site is restricted. Fort Sand is now a part of the Echo Valley Provincial Park and offers camping and recreational facilities for those who dare to stay there. One of the ghost stories that are associated with Fort Sand is the Singing Lady. She is a young woman in a dark dress who was seen washing her face and singing in the bathroom of the men's lodge. She disappeared when a band member tried to talk to her. In the summer of 1948, a band from Regina was hired to perform at Fort Sand for a week. They were supposed to entertain the patients and staff with their music and jokes. They stayed at the men's lodge, which was one of the dormitories for the patients. The men's lodge had a large bathroom with several sinks, showers, and toilets. One night, after their show, one of the band members decided to take a shower before going to bed. He went to the bathroom and turned on the faucet. As he waited for the water to get warm, he heard a woman's voice singing softly. He thought it was strange because he knew that there were no women staying at the men's lodge. He looked around and saw a young woman standing at one of the sinks. She was wearing a dark dress and had long brown hair. She was washing her face with a cloth and singing a song that he did not recognize. He was surprised and curious by her presence. He wondered who she was and what she was doing there. He decided to talk to her and find out more about her. He walked towards her and said hello. As soon as he spoke, she stopped singing and looked at him. She had pale skin and blue eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. She smiled at him and said hello back. He asked her what her name was and where she came from. She told him that her name was Anna and that she came from Saskatoon. She said that she was a patient at Fort Sand and that she had been there for 2 years. He asked her how she was feeling and if she liked it there. She said that she was feeling better and that she liked it there very much. She said that Fort Sand was a beautiful place and that she had many friends there. He asked her what she liked to do there and what kind of music she liked. She said that she liked to paint pictures and make crafts with other patients. She said that she liked all kinds of music, but especially classical music. He asked her if she knew the song that she was singing and what it meant. She said that she did not know the name of the song or what it meant. She said that she learned it from another patient who taught her how to sing it. He asked her if he could hear more of it and if he could join her in singing it. She said yes and started singing again. He listened to her voice and tried to follow along with the words. They sang together for a few minutes until they reached the end of the song. They smiled at each other and complimented each other on their singing. He asked her if she wanted to go with him to his room and talk more with him. He said that he liked her very much and wanted to get to know her better. She hesitated for a moment, then nodded yes. She said that she liked him too and wanted to spend more time with him. They dried their faces with their towels and walked out of the bathroom together. They walked down the hallway towards his room, holding hands. They passed by another band member who was coming out of his room. He saw them walking together and recognized the woman as Anna. He knew Anna very well. He knew Anna too well. He knew Anna was dead. He knew Anna had died 2 years ago from tuberculosis. He knew Anna had been cremated in the furnace behind the main building. He knew Anna was not supposed to be there. He knew Anna was a ghost. He screamed at them to stop. They did not hear him. They did not see him. They did not care about him. They only cared about each other. They reached his room and opened the door. They went inside and closed the door behind them. They never came out again.
And with that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This is Ben saying, see you next time. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. In the heart of Weston, West Virginia, the imposing structure known as the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum stands as a testament to a bygone era of mental health care. But in the darker side of history, this sprawling Gothic-style structure also carries with it a chilling reputation as one of the most haunted places in the United States. Established in the mid-19th century, the asylum's roots are deeply intertwined with the prevailing attitudes towards mental health during that time. It emerged as a response to the moral treatment movement, a progressive approach to mental health that advocated for humane and compassionate care for individuals with mental illnesses. When the asylum opened its doors, its mission was clear: to provide a sanctuary for those afflicted with mental illnesses and to offer them the care and understanding that had long been denied to them. However, as the 19th century gave way to the 20th, the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum faced a period of significant challenges, changes, and controversies. To cut the story short, the 1990s marked the end of an era for the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. In 1994, after more than a century of operation, the asylum closed its doors for the last time. And this was only the beginning of the chilling occurrences inside. After the closure, reports of paranormal activity and ghostly encounters began circulating, and the reputation of the asylum as a haunted location persisted. The building was left abandoned for several years, which only added to its eerie atmosphere. Witnesses continued to share spine-chilling stories that testified to the lingering horrors within its decaying walls. Among these witnesses were former staff members, employees who had devoted years of their lives to the care of the mentally ill, and locals residing in the vicinity of the forsaken institution. The most distressing of these accounts revolved around the ongoing echoes of disembodied voices. In the eerie silence that enveloped the asylum, voices that should have faded into oblivion instead reverberated through the empty halls. These spectral whispers were not mere echoes of the past, but rather a haunting testament to the anguish that had once permeated the building. Witnesses often spoke of hearing tormented cries, as if the tortured souls of the asylum's former patients continued to suffer in an otherworldly realm, their wails of despair echoing for eternity. The apparitions that roam the dimly lit corridors of the asylum are among the most unsettling phenomena. These ghostly figures take on the forms of former residents and staff members, forever trapped within the asylum's confines. Their presence was far from benign. It exuded an eerie malevolence that sent shivers down the spines of anyone who dared to venture into their spectral domain. Witnesses described encounters with these phantoms as profoundly unsettling, their eyes filled with a deep sadness and torment that seemed to seep into the very souls of those who locked eyes with them. Some locals recounted feeling a sense of unease even from the safety of their homes, as if the asylum's eerie presence extended beyond its physical boundaries. The stories of these witnesses, rooted in personal experience and shared with trembling voices, only added to the enduring mystery and terror. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum had an undeniable allure that drew in curious souls despite being off limits to the public. This magnetic attraction turned the asylum into a haunting playground for urban explorers and trespassers, each of whom left with harrowing stories to tell. Entering the asylum, trespassers often found themselves stepping into an eerie realm where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred. The air seemed heavy with an otherworldly presence, and every creaking floorboard and echoing corridor held an unsettling secret. Among the most terrifying encounters were the shadowy figures that appeared to materialize out of thin air. These spectral entities moved stealthily through the darkness, their forms often flickering in and out of existence. Witnesses recounted feeling an icy chill as these apparitions drew near, their presence carrying an aura of malevolence that was impossible to ignore. In some instances, these shadowy figures made direct contact with trespassers, heightening the sense of dread and fear. One of the most haunting apparitions is that of a young girl often heard sobbing within the asylum's walls. The identity of this spectral child remains a mystery, but her heart-rending cries have left a lasting impression on those who have heard them. Some believe she may be the spirit of a former patient who endured unimaginable suffering during her time at the institution. To note, the asylum's electroshock therapy room has been a focal point for many ghostly encounters. Visitors have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness and despair when entering this room, and some claim to have heard the agonized screams of patients who underwent these treatments, suggesting that the anguish of the past lingers in this eerie space. Perhaps most unsettling of all were the accounts of unseen hands that reached out to touch those who dared to trespass. Trespassers described feeling an otherworldly force tugging at their clothing or brushing against their skin, leaving behind a tangible sensation of spectral contact. Ghostly apparitions often suggest that some souls may have unfinished business or unresolved traumas. Shockingly, there were accounts disclosing that many individuals found themselves admitted to the asylum for reasons that were unrelated to mental health, which people think might be the reasons why a lot of spirits haunt the place. These admissions highlighted societal prejudices and a lack of understanding about mental health issues. Some patients with physical ailments, like asthma, were admitted to the asylum, likely due to a lack of appropriate medical facilities or understanding of these conditions at the time. Likewise, patients with tuberculosis, a highly contagious respiratory disease, were sometimes admitted, possibly due to fears of spreading the disease within communities. There were also domestic conflicts involved, and women who would not listen to their husbands were subjected to institutionalization, reflecting a deeply patriarchal society where women's autonomy was restricted and their resistance to control could lead to confinement. Marital disputes allegedly caused some admissions, as well. Some men tried to get their wives out of the way and maintain extramarital relationships, a disturbing reflection of the power imbalances within marriages during that era. Amidst the unsettling horrors of the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, there are profound lessons that emerge like fragile rays of light piercing through the darkness. The asylum's horrors underscore the critical need for compassion and understanding in mental health care. It serves as a poignant reminder that those facing mental health challenges deserve dignity, respect, and humane treatment, free from the stigma and cruelty of the past. Its history also prompts us to cultivate empathy for the vulnerable among us. It teaches us to extend a helping hand to those in need, recognizing that the struggles of mental illness can affect anyone, regardless of their background or circumstances. The asylum's legacy also inspires advocacy for change in mental health care. It highlights the importance of advocating for policies and practices that prioritize the well-being and rights of individuals facing mental health challenges. The Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, a place where history converges with horror, concludes as a chilling testament to the complexities of our past. Beyond its grandiose Gothic architecture lies a dark history marked by the suffering of countless individuals who sought care and found only neglect. But in the midst of the asylum's harrowing history, there is a call to remember. To remember the lives that were lost to the shadows. To remember the perseverance of the human spirit in the face of adversity. And to remember the lessons of the past. The asylum serves as both a dark warning and a beacon of hope, challenging us to advocate for progress in mental health care, to extend compassion to those in need, and to confront the ghosts of our past so that we may shape a more compassionate and enlightened future. And with that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This has Ben saying, see you next time.
The Queen Mary is a former British passenger ship that was built in 1930 and launched in 1934. It was one of the most luxurious and fastest ocean liners of its time, carrying celebrities, royalty, and dignitaries across the Atlantic. It also served as a troop transport during World War II, earning the nickname the Grey Ghost. The ship retired from service in 1967 and became a hotel and tourist attraction in Long Beach, California. The Queen Mary is also known as one of the most haunted places in the world, with over 150 reported spirits on board. Some of the ghosts are said to be former passengers and crew members who died on the ship or during the war. Some of the most haunted areas on the ship include the engine room, where a sailor was crushed by a door, the first-class pool, where a young girl drowned, and room B340, where a murder allegedly took place. Some of the paranormal phenomena that have been reported on the ship are lights flickering, doors slamming, voices whispering, footsteps echoing, and objects moving. Some people have also seen apparitions, orbs, and shadows of the ghosts. Some of the ghosts are friendly and playful, while others are angry and violent. Many visitors and staff have experienced fear, anxiety, and even physical harm from the spirits. The Queen Mary is a fascinating ship that has a rich history and a mysterious afterlife. It is a place where you can explore the past and encounter the unknown. It was a cold and foggy night in December 2023. Jake and Lisa, a young couple from Los Angeles, decided to spend their anniversary on the Queen Mary, a historic ship that was now a hotel and museum in Long Beach. They had heard stories about the ship being haunted, but they didn't believe in ghosts. They thought it would be fun and romantic to stay on board and explore the ship's history. They checked in at the front desk and received their room key. They were assigned to room B340, one of the most haunted rooms on the ship. They didn't know that, of course. They just thought it was a cozy and charming cabin with a porthole window and a queen-sized bed. They unpacked their bags and decided to go for a walk around the ship. They wanted to see the grand ballroom, the first-class swimming pool, the engine room, and the bridge. They also wanted to visit the Queen Mary's Dark Harbor, a Halloween attraction that was still open for a few more days. They left their room and headed to the elevator. As they waited for the elevator to arrive, they noticed a woman standing at the end of the hallway. She was wearing a white dress and a white hat, and she had long blonde hair. She looked like she was from another era, maybe the 1930s or 1940s.
Wow, look at her. She must be part of the Dark Harbor show. She looks so authentic.
Lisa whispered to Jake.
Yeah, she does. Maybe she's one of the actors who scare people on the ship.
Jake agreed. They smiled at the woman, but she didn't smile back. She just stared at them with a blank expression. The elevator arrived and they got in. They pressed the button for the first floor and waited for the doors to close. But they didn't close. They looked out and saw that the woman was still standing there, blocking the sensor with her hand.
Excuse me, miss. Could you please move your hand so we can go down?
Jake said politely. The woman didn't answer. She didn't move.
Hello? Can you hear us?
Lisa said louder. The woman still didn't respond. She just kept staring at them.
Okay, this is getting weird. Let's just get out of here.
Jake said nervously. They stepped out of the elevator and walked past the woman. As they did, they felt a chill run down their spines. They looked back and saw that the woman was gone. She had vanished into thin air. They gasped and ran to the stairs. They didn't know that they had just encountered one of the most famous ghosts on the Queen Mary, the Lady in White. She was said to be the spirit of a young woman who had died on board in 1942 when the ship was serving as a troop transport during World War II. She had fallen overboard and drowned in the icy waters of the Atlantic Ocean. She was now seen wandering around the ship, especially near the first-class lounge, where she used to dance and sing with her lover. She was also known to play tricks on people, such as turning on and off lights, opening and closing doors, and messing with elevators. She was homeless, but lonely. She was looking for someone to join her in her eternal dance. Jake and Lisa didn't want to be that someone. They ran down the stairs as fast as they could. They wanted to get off the ship as soon as possible. But they didn't know that they were not alone. There were other ghosts on board. And they were not so friendly.
And with that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This has been saying, see you next time. Haunting of the Sallie House. In the heart of Atchison, Kansas, stood the enigmatic Sallie House, a relic of a bygone era. Built in the late 1800s, the Victorian-style house exuded an air of faded grandeur, its ornate architecture a testament to a time when it had been a proud family home. Tony and Deborah Pickman were drawn to the charm of the Sallie House when they moved to Atchison in the late 1980s. With its spacious rooms, intricate woodwork, and wraparound porch, it was a dream home for the young couple. Until it's not. Little did they know, their dream would soon transform into a nightmare. The house had a history, one that whispered of forgotten tragedies. Former occupants had passed through its halls, leaving behind whispers of memories, secrets, and perhaps something more. As they settled into their new home, the Pickmans' excitement gave way to unease. Strange noises punctuated the silence of the night, creaking floorboards, distant whispers, and inexplicable bumps. At first, they brushed it off as the quirks of an old house settling into its history. But as time passed, the disturbances became harder to ignore. One evening, as Tony was working late in his study, he heard the faint giggles of a child. Assuming it was just his imagination, he carried on. Yet, the laughter persisted, growing louder and more distinct. When he finally ventured into the hallway, he was met with an empty corridor, the laughter echoing into silence. Deborah, too, experienced her share of eerie incidents. While preparing dinner, she caught sight of a fleeting figure out of the corner of her eye. When she turned to face it, there was nothing there. She dismissed it as a trick of the light, but a nagging doubt lingered. A pervasive sense of unease settled over the couple. They began to feel as though they were never truly alone in their own home. Objects went missing, only to reappear in unexpected places. Doors opened and closed of their own accord. Temperature would inexplicably drop in certain rooms. One night, as they lay in bed, Deborah felt a soft touch on her arm. She turned to find no one beside her, only the emptiness of the room. Tony, too, would wake up with unexplainable scratches on his arms and legs, as though he had been in a struggle he couldn't remember. Despite their growing trepidation, the Pickmans attempted to rationalize the events. They considered faulty wiring, drafts, and even their own imagination. But as the occurrences multiplied, doubts took root. They reached out to friends and family, sharing their experiences, only to be met with skepticism. Word of the strange happenings in the Sally house began to spread through the small town. Whispers of a ghostly presence named Sally circulated among the locals. As the days turned into weeks, the Pickmans found themselves increasingly consumed by the enigma of the Sally house. The strange occurrences persisted, growing in intensity and frequency. Tony and Deborah were no longer able to dismiss them as mere coincidences or figments of their imagination. It was during one cold winter evening that the presence of the child seemed to reveal itself more clearly. Tony had been reading in the living room, his attention absorbed by the pages of a book. The room was bathed in the warm glow of lamplight when he noticed a small, shadowy figure out of the corner of his eye. Startled, he turned his gaze towards the figure, but it vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Deborah, who had been in the kitchen at the time, rushed into the living room when she heard Tony's exclamation. Her eyes widened as she saw the look of astonishment on his face. He recounted what he had seen, a fleeting image of a young girl, her dress trailing behind her as if caught in an invisible breeze. Over time, the Pickmans began to piece together the fragments of encounters they had experienced. The kids' appearances were marked by a playful energy, the tinkling of laughter that seemed to float through the air, the soft patter of footsteps down the hallway, and the sense of a watchful gaze. Objects began to move on their own. Deborah would set a book on the coffee table, only to find it placed neatly on a shelf moments later. Photographs would fall off the walls and small trinkets would relocate themselves overnight. Yet, despite the eerie nature of these incidents, the Pickmans were not afraid. There was a gentleness to the child's presence that made them believe she meant no harm. The playful interactions took a more personal turn when the Pickmans started to hear her voice. It was a soft, childlike voice that whispered their names, asked innocuous questions, and occasionally sang nursery rhymes. Tony and Deborah would often sit in the dimly lit living room, carrying on conversations with the unseen entity that had become a part of their lives. As their connection with her deepened, the Pickmans felt a mix of wonder and apprehension. They began to wonder about her story. Had she lived there in life? What had happened to her? They reached out to experts in the paranormal field, hoping to gain insight into the history of their spectral guest. They eventually found that a young girl named Sally had been brought to the house in the late 1800s, suffering from a severe illness. Despite the efforts of the local doctor, her condition had deteriorated rapidly, and she had passed away within the walls of the very room, the Pickmans' bedroom. The Pickmans' encounters with Sally took on a deeper significance. They now understood that they were sharing their home with the spirit of a young girl who had faced a tragic end. The Pickmans' relationship with the Sally house had shifted from mere curiosity to a deep, intimate connection. Until one night, racing downstairs, they discovered their collection of antique porcelain dolls strewn across the floor, their delicate features distorted by the impact. The poltergeist-like activity didn't stop there. Objects began to levitate, moving of their own volition before dropping to the ground with a crash. Deborah was once inexplicably knocked to the ground while ascending the staircase, leaving her with bruises that materialized seemingly out of nowhere. Tony reported feeling an invisible hand grab at his shirt, as if trying to pull him back. Even the most skeptical of visitors were unable to deny the unsettling aura that clung to the Sally house. The Pickmans were thrust into a spotlight they never saw when the media caught wind of their haunted home. Reporters flocked to Atchison, drawn by the allure of a real-life haunted house. They turned to paranormal investigators and mediums in a desperate attempt to gain some semblance of control over their lives. In consultation with the experts, the Pickmans prepared for a night of communication like no other. The messages were cryptic, woven with fragments of emotions and memories. Sally's voice emerged, her childlike innocence evident even through the written words. As the session continued, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The air grew colder, and shadows seemed to gather around the edges of their vision. Whispers filled the room, voices overlapping in a cacophony of sound. The Pickmans could no longer ignore the toll that their experiences were taking on their lives. Sleepless nights, anxiety, and the constant presence of the unexplainable. With heavy hearts, they made the painful choice to leave the Sallie house behind, seeking a fresh start away from the weight of the paranormal. The legacy of the Sallie house continued to captivate the minds of those who heard its tale. The house remained a silent witness to the mysteries that had unfolded within its walls. It stood as a reminder that the boundaries between the living and the departed are not easily defined, and that sometimes the answers we seek lie in the shadows that defy explanation. And with that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This has been saying, see you next time. The Haunting at Whaley House. In the heart of Old Town, San Diego, amidst the charming historic streets and lively tourist attractions, looms a two-story brick house known to many as the Whaley House. While its 19th century architecture and historical significance make it a captivating destination in its own right, it is the house's reputation as one of the most haunted places in America that truly captures the imagination. The Whaley House stands as a testament to San Diego's rich history, embodying the aspirations of a young American town in the mid-1800s. Constructed in 1856, this Greek Revival-style home was not merely a residence, it was a declaration of success and a reflection of the Whaley's faith in San Diego's future. Its red brick facade and imposing structure made it a standout among the predominantly adobe buildings of the time. At the center of this story are Thomas and Anna Whaley, who made their way to San Diego from New York seeking a new life on the West Coast. Their family grew within the walls of the Whaley House, and their contributions to the community extended far beyond the confines of its rooms. They ran a general store on the ground floor, providing essential supplies to the burgeoning town and establishing themselves as prominent members of San Diego society. However, it wasn't long before whispers of something otherworldly began to circulate around the Whaley House. As visitors and residents passed through its doors, tales of inexplicable phenomena, eerie encounters, and ghostly apparitions took root. These stories gave birth to the legends that would surround the house for generations to come. The early accounts of paranormal activity at the Whaley House were subtle but unsettling. Strange sounds, unusual drafts, and inexplicable shadows piqued the curiosity of those who ventured inside. Over time, these encounters evolved into more vivid and unsettling experiences, often involving encounters with apparitions from the past. Among the most famous spirits believed to inhabit the Whaley house are the apparitions of Thomas and Anna Whaley themselves. These ethereal figures are said to be protective of their former home, often appearing in 19th century attire. Thomas, described as stern and vigilant, is often seen overseeing the house, as if ensuring its preservation even in the afterlife. Anna, on the other hand, appears with a sense of grace and elegance, her presence bringing a comforting aura to those who claim to have seen her. Another prominent figure in the house's spectral cast is James "Yankee" Jim Robinson. He was a man of ill repute, known for his criminal activities and gambling. His notorious trial and subsequent hanging near the Whaley house have led some to believe that his spirit remains tethered to the property. Reports of his ghostly presence manifest in the form of footsteps, cold spots, and unsettling sounds. The enduring mystique of the Whaley house relies heavily on the accounts of those who have stepped over its threshold and encountered the inexplicable. Visitors, staff members, and paranormal investigators alike have reported sightings and experiences that defy easy explanation. Their testimonies provide a fascinating glimpse into the enigmatic world of the Whaley house hauntings. The stories about the Whaley house have sparked considerable interest and curiosity among paranormal enthusiasts and investigators. Over the years, numerous paranormal investigations have been conducted at the Whaley house, each seeking to document and understand the reported hauntings scientifically. These investigations have employed a variety of tools and methodologies to capture evidence and explore the mysterious occurrences within the house. Ghost hunters and paranormal investigators have utilized equipment such as electromagnetic field, EMF, meters, infrared cameras, audio recording devices, and motion sensors to monitor and document paranormal activity. These tools are aimed at capturing empirical data that might support the existence of spirits or other supernatural phenomena. One of the most compelling aspects of the Whaley house hauntings is the purported evidence that has been captured during these investigations. Photographs, audio recordings, and video footage have been presented as potential proof of ghostly activity. Visitors and investigators claim to have captured apparitions and photographs taken within the house. These images often depict shadowy figures or ghostly presences in various rooms, including the courtroom and bedrooms. There are also electronic voice phenomena, EVP, recordings that allegedly captured unexplained voices, whispers, and responses to questions asked during paranormal investigations. These recordings are believed by some to be the voices of spirits communicating from beyond. Video recordings within the Whaley house have also documented strange anomalies, including moving objects, unexplained shadows, and spectral forms. gain further understanding and validation of the reported phenomena, experts in the field of paranormal investigation have also explored the Whaley House. These experts bring years of experience and a scientific approach to their work, seeking to separate fact from fiction. Paranormal investigators, psychics, and mediums have conducted in-depth assessments of the house. While their findings are often subjective and open to interpretation, their insights have contributed to the ongoing dialogue about the nature of the hauntings at the Whaley House. Despite the wealth of evidence and the efforts of investigators, some phenomena reported at the Whaley House remain unexplained. Witnesses and experts alike have encountered inexplicable occurrences that challenge conventional understanding. These include sudden drops in temperature, cold spots, disembodied voices, and the sensation of being touched or watched when there is no visible presence. Skeptics continue to question the validity of the evidence, arguing that many of the phenomena could be attributed to natural causes or psychological factors. Nonetheless, the allure of the Whaley House persists, drawing both believers and skeptics into its enduring mystery. As visitors step through the doors of the Whaley House today, they find themselves immersed in a unique blend of history and the supernatural. The house has been meticulously preserved and restored, allowing visitors to step back in time and experience life as it was in the 19th century. This preservation effort is not solely for the sake of historical accuracy, but also to provide a platform for exploring the rich history and haunting legends associated with the house. Guided tours, both historical and ghost-focused, offer visitors an opportunity to delve into the Whaley family's history and, if they dare, to explore the eerie tales of the supernatural. Each room within the house has a story to tell, both of the Whaleys' lives and the reported hauntings that have occurred within its walls. The reputation of the Whaley House as one of the most haunted places in America has had a profound impact on its cultural significance. It has been featured in numerous books, television shows, documentaries, and movies, further cementing its status as a paranormal hotspot. The Whaley House has become a symbol of San Diego's rich history and the enduring allure of the unexplained. The house's reputation has also made it a popular destination for tourists and ghost enthusiasts alike. Thousands of visitors flock to the site each year, contributing to the local economy and preserving the house for future generations to experience. Preserving the legacy of the Whaley House comes with its own set of ethical considerations. Balancing the historical significance of the property with its haunted reputation can be a delicate task. Care must be taken to ensure that the house's history is not overshadowed by sensationalism or misrepresentation of its paranormal activity. Guides and staff members at the Whaley House are often confronted with questions about the veracity of the hauntings and the ethical responsibility of maintaining a haunted house. Striking a balance between presenting the historical facts and acknowledging the reported phenomena is crucial in providing a respectful and educational experience for visitors. The Whaley House, with its haunting legacy and rich history, continues to captivate the imagination of those who cross its threshold. Whether one is a true believer in the paranormal or a skeptic, the enduring fascination with the house's ghostly tales highlights our enduring curiosity about the mysteries of the unknown. The Whaley House stands as a symbol of San Diego's past, a testament to the aspirations of the Whaley family, and a place where history and legend coexist. Its legacy will persist, inviting future generations to explore the enduring mysteries that have made it an iconic American landmark. And with that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This is Ben saying, see you next time. Borley Rectory, known as the most haunted house in England. In the heart of Essex, England, stood Borley Rectory, a place destined to become one of the most enduring and perplexing ghost stories in history. The rectory's history dates back to 1863 when the Bull family arrived, bringing with them an air of tranquility that would soon be shattered by inexplicable occurrences. Reverend Harry Bull, his wife, and their 14 children took up residence in the Borley Rectory, initially captivated by its charming facade and sprawling gardens that seemed to be the epitome of pastoral beauty. But it was also a place where shadows stirred and the unexplained lurked. It wasn't long before the Bull family began experiencing odd phenomena. Muffled footsteps echoing in empty hallways, phantom carriages rumbling through the night, and fleeting glimpses of figures that seemed to vanish upon closer inspection. These inexplicable occurrences left the Bulls perplexed, uncertain about the nature of the forces at play within their home. As the Bull family's tenure at Borley Rectory came to an end, a new chapter of strangeness began with the arrival of Reverend Lionel Foyster and his wife, Mary Ann. The Foysters, eager to start anew, instead found themselves enmeshed in a web of unexplainable events. Messages began to appear on the walls, written in chalk, offering cryptic insights into a hidden world. Objects moved seemingly of their own volition, and the Foysters reported physical interactions with unseen hands. With the passing of years, the haunting of Borley Rectory intensified. Reverend Foyster's wife, Mary Ann, bore the brunt of the activity, often being targeted by unseen forces. Windows shattered without cause, objects levitated, and a general air of unease pervaded the rectory. Despite their struggles, the Foysters opened their doors to paranormal researchers and investigators, hoping for answers that remained stubbornly elusive. Little did the Foysters know that their experiences were only the beginning of a tale that would transcend time and captivate generations to come. In the 1920s, the name Borley Rectory was already gaining notoriety as a place of supernatural intrigue. Harry Price, a self-proclaimed psychic researcher and investigator of the occult, was drawn to the rectory's haunted reputation like a moth to a flame. Armed with an assortment of scientific instruments and a reputation for thoroughness, Price embarked on a journey that would forever change the trajectory of the Borley haunting. Price's efforts were not solitary. He joined forces with the National Laboratory for Psychical Research, an organization dedicated to studying paranormal phenomena with scientific rigor. Together, they assembled a team of investigators, researchers, and mediums to delve into the heart of the haunting. Seances were conducted, photographs were taken, and the rectory's hidden corners were meticulously explored in search of evidence. The investigative team used a range of innovative techniques to capture evidence of the supernatural. Mediums attempted to communicate with the spirits, hoping to glean insights into the mysteries that surrounded Borley Rectory. Cameras and recording devices were set up to capture any anomalies or unexplained phenomena. Some of the most compelling evidence came in the form of photographs that appeared to show ghostly figures and strange lights. Despite the fervor of Price's investigations, skepticism and controversy began to cloud the Borley Rectory case. Critics questioned the validity of the evidence, accusing Price of sensationalism and fraud. Some argued that the haunting was a result of natural phenomena, while others suggested that psychological factors played a role in shaping the experiences of those who lived in or visited the rectory. The media's fascination with Borley Rectory played a significant role in amplifying its reputation as the most haunted house in England. Newspapers and magazines eagerly covered Price's investigations, and the public's appetite for sensational stories fueled the rectory's legendary status. This label, while enhancing the intrigue, also added an air of mythology to the haunting that sometimes overshadowed the actual events. Price's investigations at Borley Rectory eventually came to an end, marked by controversies surrounding his methods and the authenticity of evidence. However, the haunting continued under the ownership of Captain W. H. Gregson. It was during this time that Helen Glanville, a friend of the Gregson family, became deeply involved in the enigma of Borley Rectory. Her experiences and correspondence would provide a new layer to the unfolding narrative. Borley Rectory's reputation for paranormal activity reached a crescendo during Captain Gregson's ownership. The haunting acquired new dimensions with the appearance of the ghost nun, a spectral figure often seen wandering the rectory's grounds. Other manifestations included mysterious lights, eerie whispers, and disembodied voices that seemed to emanate from thin air. These phenomena drew both the curious and the skeptical, further fueling the legend. In 1930, the Coudenhove clergy family took possession of the rectory, and their tenure was marked by escalating disturbances. Footsteps echoed through empty corridors. Doors slammed shut without explanation, and objects levitated in plain view. The haunting seemed intent on making its presence known, no longer confined to the shadows, but manifesting with increasing intensity. The family's accounts and the physical evidence collected during this time would become key elements in the ongoing investigation. The haunting's relentless grip on Borley Rectory persisted into the late 1930s. However, the rectory's fate was sealed in 1939 when a fire tore through the building, reducing it to ruins. The fire's origin remained a mystery, leaving behind a smoldering monument to decades of inexplicable occurrences. With the rectory's destruction, the era of physical investigations and first-hand accounts drew to a close, leaving behind a legacy that would forever captivate the imagination. The era of the Coudenhove clergy family marked the twilight of Borley Rectory's existence, but it was far from the end of its story. The haunting, once confined to physical walls, would break free and transcend its brick-and-mortar confines, becoming a haunting that lingered not only in the tangible remnants of the rectory but also in the collective imagination of generations to come. The destruction of Borley Rectory did not extinguish the fascination surrounding its haunting. On the contrary, it ignited a cultural phenomenon that resonated for decades. The story of the rectory's haunting found its way into literature, inspiring countless novels, short stories, and films. The eerie figure of the ghost nun, the unexplained footsteps, and the mysteries of the rectory's history became the stuff of legend, capturing the imagination of writers and filmmakers seeking to evoke chills and curiosity in their audiences. Borley Rectory's legacy reverberated through the world of psychical research and paranormal investigations. Harry Price's methods, for all the skepticism they generated, set a precedent for future investigators seeking to employ scientific tools and methodologies to study the supernatural. The Borley case encouraged a more systematic approach to understanding the unexplained, leading to the development of more rigorous protocols and methodologies in paranormal research. The legacy of Borley Rectory also underscored the complexities inherent in interpreting paranormal phenomena. The blurred lines between folklore, misinterpretation, and genuine supernatural experiences presented an ongoing challenge for researchers and enthusiasts alike. Deciphering the true nature of the haunting, whether as an elaborate hoax, a product of psychological factors, or something genuinely paranormal, remained a conundrum that defied definitive resolution. In the decades following Borley Rectory's destruction, the fascination with its history and haunting persisted. Ghost tours, documentaries, and books continue to explore the mysteries and legends, drawing visitors and enthusiasts to the site of the former rectory. investigators adopted updated technologies, such as EMF meters, infrared cameras, and EVP or electronic voice phenomenon recorders, to probe the remnants of the past for any lingering traces of the paranormal. The tale of Borley Rectory stands as an enigmatic legacy that bridges the realms of the seen and the unseen. Whether one views it as a canvas upon which human imagination painted elaborate stories or a window into a realm beyond our comprehension, its impact on the world of the paranormal remains profound. Borley Rectory's haunting may never be definitively explained, but it continues to intrigue, challenge, and inspire those who seek answers to questions that elude easy understanding. As long as the stories of the Rectory's haunting are told, its legacy will endure, reminding us of the enduring human fascination with the mysteries that lie just beyond the edges of our understanding. And with that, we have come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This has been saying, see you next time. Greenbrier's Elva Zona Hester, the ghost who solved her own murder. In the heart of rural Greenbrier County, nestled within the rugged terrain of West Virginia, the late 19th century was an era where time seemed to stand still. This remote region, characterized by its rolling hills and isolated communities, was home to the Hester family, who lived a quiet and unassuming life in this idyllic but unforgiving landscape. At the center of our tale is the enigmatic figure of Elva Zona Hester, a woman whose life would be cut tragically short under circumstances as eerie as the West Virginia night itself. Zona, as she was known among friends and family, was a young woman of uncommon beauty, her striking features and graceful demeanor making her the subject of admiration among the locals. However, her life took a most unexpected and sinister turn one cold January day in 1897. Zona had entered into matrimony with a man named Erasmus Stribling Trout-Shue, a transplant to the area who had recently moved to Greenbrier County. Erasmus was a quiet, somewhat mysterious figure, and his marriage to Zona raised more than a few eyebrows in the tight-knit community. While many questioned the circumstances surrounding their union, Zona appeared to be deeply in love with her husband. Yet, this love would soon lead to her tragic demise. On that fateful winter day, Zona was found dead in her home. Her lifeless body lay sprawled on her bedroom floor, her once vibrant eyes now cold and empty. The initial belief was that Zona had met her end due to natural causes or a tragic accident. It was not uncommon in those times for people to pass away suddenly, and many were all too familiar with the unforgiving grip of disease and accidents in this rugged part of the country. However, it was not just Zona's death that sent shivers down the spines of those who knew her. It was the peculiar behavior of her husband, Erasmus, in the aftermath of her passing that raised the first whispers of suspicion. At her wake, Erasmus exhibited a disturbing degree of possessiveness over his wife's body. He insisted on preparing her for the viewing himself, going so far as to dress her in a high-necked gown with a scarf that concealed her neck. This unusual display sent shockwaves through the mourners, who found Erasmus's actions not only unsettling but highly inappropriate. Questions swirled in hushed conversations. Why would a husband be so adamant about handling the body of his deceased wife? What was he hiding beneath that scarf? In the wake of Elva Zona Hester's mysterious death, the small community of Greenbrier County found itself grappling with a chilling sense of unease. While the circumstances surrounding her passing were unsettling, it was the events that followed that would send shockwaves through the region, shaking the very foundations of belief and skepticism. Mary Jane Hester, Zona's mother, was an integral figure in this unfolding drama. A woman of strong faith and unwavering determination, she would become the driving force behind a series of events that would eventually lead to the unraveling of a dark and sinister secret. As days turned into weeks, Mary Jane's grief began to manifest itself in a most unusual manner. She claimed that her beloved daughter was visiting her in the dead of night, appearing as a ghostly presence at the foot of her bed. These spectral visitations, she insisted, were not mere dreams or figments of her imagination, but genuine encounters with the spirit of Zona. According to Mary Jane's accounts, during these eerie nocturnal visits, Zona's ghost allegedly revealed the shocking truth about her own demise. The details provided by the spectral apparition were as unsettling as they were damning. Zona's ethereal form accused Erasmus of having strangled her to death. The community was divided in its response to Mary Jane's claims. Some dismissed her accounts as the ravings of a grief-stricken mother, desperate for solace in the face of her daughter's untimely death. Others, however, were not so quick to dismiss her words. In an era where belief in the supernatural still held sway over the hearts and minds of many, the idea that the dead could communicate with the living was not entirely beyond the realm of possibility. This division of belief set the stage for a series of events that would bring the mystery of Zona's death to the forefront of public attention. Mary Jane's unwavering insistence on her daughter's ghostly revelations would set in motion a chain of events that would challenge the very fabric of reality as understood by the community. In an extraordinary decision for the time, the decision was made to exhume Zona's body for a thorough autopsy. The task fell to Dr. George W. Knapp, the local physician who had tended to Zona in her final moments and who had, like many others, found Erasmus's behavior during her wake to be deeply unsettling. As Dr. Knapp carefully examined Zona's remains, he made a shocking discovery that would send shockwaves through the community. Zona's neck had been broken, and there were clear signs of strangulation. The findings of the autopsy were undeniable. Elva Zona Hester had been murdered. With this grim revelation, the focus of the investigation shifted dramatically. . Zona's death considered a tragic accident or a result of natural causes. It was now a homicide, and the prime suspect was none other than her husband. The authorities wasted no time in apprehending Erasmus, who was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife. The case against him was bolstered not only by the results of the autopsy but also by the testimony of Mary Jane Hester, who recounted her daughter's ghostly accusations with unwavering conviction. The trial of Erasmus, which took place in the local courthouse, was a sensation. It captivated the community and drew the attention of the wider region. The case was unlike any other, as it hinged not only on forensic evidence but also on the eerie and controversial testimony of a mother who claimed her daughter's ghost had revealed the truth. Erasmus Shu's defense team faced an uphill battle. The forensic evidence from the autopsy left little room for doubt. Zona had indeed been murdered, and the manner of her death pointed to strangulation. But what truly set this trial apart was the testimony of Mary Jane, who had insisted that her daughter's ghost had visited her, revealing Erasmus as the murderer. In a dramatic and unprecedented move, Mary Jane was called to the witness stand to share her eerie experiences with the jury and the court. Her testimony was delivered with unwavering conviction, her voice unwavering as she recounted the ghostly visitations and the damning accusations made by Zona's spirit. As she spoke, the courtroom held its collective breath. Some jurors exchanged skeptical glances, while others watched Mary Jane with a mix of fascination and apprehension. The trial had ventured into uncharted territory, where the supernatural met the legal system. The defense did its best to discredit Mary Jane's testimony, suggesting that her grief had clouded her judgment and that her belief in her daughter's ghost was a manifestation of her sorrow. But Mary Jane remained resolute, maintaining that Zona's ghostly visitations were real and her words could not be dismissed. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, the jury finally reached a verdict. The atmosphere in the courtroom was charged with tension as the foreman stood and announced the decision. Erasmus was found guilty of the murder of Zona. The verdict sent shockwaves through the community. While some hailed it as a triumph of justice, others remained skeptical, uncertain about the implications of a verdict partially based on testimony about ghostly visitations. Nevertheless, Erasmus was sentenced to life in prison, marking the end of the trial but not the end of the Greenbrier Ghost's legacy. The case of the Greenbrier Ghost left an indelible mark on American legal history. It marked one of the first instances where testimony about the supernatural played a significant role in a murder trial. The question of whether a mother's claims of ghostly visitations could sway a jury had been answered. In this case, they did. But the story of Zona's murder and the trial of Erasmus also lived on in the folklore and popular culture of the region. The tale of the Greenbrier ghost became a haunting legend, passed down through generations, a chilling reminder of the mysteries that can hide behind the facade of rural tranquility. In the end, the legacy of the Greenbrier ghost extended far beyond the courtroom. It served as a testament to the power of belief, the pursuit of justice, and the enduring fascination with the unexplained. Elva Zona Hester's tragic death and her ghost's testimony would forever be etched into the history of Greenbrier County, a ghostly reminder that some mysteries defy both the natural and the supernatural. And with that, we've come to the end of our video. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. This has been Zane. See you next time.